He doesn't look like a child anymore, but I mean, he does look like somebody who I really don't want to be around, right? I feel like there's something radioactive going on that causes his face to shrink by 1 millimeter, like every single week. And it never gets any better.
Yeah, his face to me is like the least trustworthy car salesman at an already dubious location. You know, like ignore the stains. They're just ignore the stains. They're fine. Don't question them.
They're a bit brown. Why? I spilled soda there. There definitely wasn't a mob killing in this vehicle at some point. Absolutely not. Anyways, real quick for people who are on my end of the stream, welcome everybody here. Now that I've hit the record button and it doesn't seem like we've been awkwardly fiddling with technology for the past 44 minutes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hope you all are having a wonderful day. If you are not, if you are new here, hi, subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be great. If you are not new here, but instead you do not know my guest, Riverboat Jack, please go ahead and give her a subscription as well. She's also streaming as of right now. You should be able to click her name in the Twitch title for here. It's not going to do the same thing over on YouTube for the 3 of you that are watching over there. So apologies, sucks to suck on your end. But when this goes up as a video, there will be a link to her channel in the description. So hopefully that will get all of y'all over there. For my part, I met Jack when we were both in Yonkers canvassing, and we had a fun time in a heat wave in New York.
Yep, that was a lot. I appreciated though you showed us your tumbling skills even in the heat wave.
Oh, it helped cool me down. I'm not even gonna lie. Just physically rolling downhill like Sonic the Hedgehog in the middle of a very upper middle class neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh god, that place was laid out so aggressively against people trying to just walk around it.
I hate cobblestone. I hate every single minute of being on cobblestone, and that neighborhood did not make me enjoy cobblestone any more than I already disliked cobblestone. But I definitely enjoyed yonking it up there because Naomi could not stop making me say fucking yonking it.
Yonk it for Bowman.
Yonking it for Bowman and fight the APAC money. That said, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do and how much they'll regret if they decide to go subscribe to your channel?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Riverboat Jack. I talk about the news, politics, debunk conservative propaganda. I'm a socialist. I like talking about democracy in the workplace, and I am a trans lady. She, her pronouns. But that's basically me in a nutshell. I used to be a video game journalist, and then I got into politics and started working as both a commentator and a political organizer. I've worked a lot with PV in the past. I'm happy to be here. It was a pleasure, canvassing with you, Suris, and I'm really looking forward to reacting to these videos. These are going to be 10 out of 10. And folks, remember, go follow Nekosuris or Suris Skeptic, and I'll have links in the descriptions of my videos as well.
Sweet. Then that should get pretty much all of our bases covered. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be looking at a couple of videos from Jubilee, though if you're watching this on YouTube, I guess it's just going to be one video because this will be multiple videos over on YouTube because you can't make me look at 2 hour-and-a-half long videos at the same time. I make no promises on getting through this entire thing. I am almost 100% certain we will not be making it through this entire thing. But this one is Charlie Kirk versus 25 liberal college students. Can 25 libs outsmart one conservative omega male, or whatever the fuck he's calling himself these days?
I do want to say I appreciate Jubilee took the concept of, how many third graders could you beat up, and just applied it to a conservative in the marketplace of ideas. And I have a feeling that we're about to find out that Charlie Kirk is going to be bested by almost every my money is on every single child. I think or not child. They're in college, but you know what I mean. I think
hold on.
I think he's going to do poorly.
What do you think happens though if it's Charlie Kirk versus an army of like it's waves of 10 third graders, and after every third wave there is a 5th grader mini boss that he has to fight, and every single third wave it goes up 1 grade. Now it's a 6th grader mini boss. Now it's a 7th grader mini boss. How many waves do you think he could survive?
Oh, dude, I Charlie Kirk is not one of those jacked conservatives. He's large, but I think he'd only make it through like 3, like not 3 waves, but like 3 children.
3 children.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. All right. Well, let's go ahead and see what we've got here.
I think that
yes or no question.
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they
Assigned male at birth, so people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
I hate his smile. I have to stop it right. I hate his smile.
His smile does like seem to like grow in like grotesqueness every time. He's like this eldritch entity. Also, like the posture here, like I'm not a body language expert or anything, but like it's bad vibes. The posture's just bad vibes.
Yeah.
Is a scam,
He looks like he wants to.
So what do you say?
them.
In some cases, women with IUDs are
Hold
murderers?
on. I need to push.
Wait, that was the guy from the next video.
Yes,
right?
it is. I think it is. But I need to move this to the actual beginning of it, because that's just the clips where it's like, these are the reasons you should watch the video because your attention span has been killed by short form content.
Abortion is murder and should be illegal.
Okay, claim 1, abortion is murder and should be illegal. All right, I am willing to say abortion is murder, but it should be illegal. It should be legal in the case that the abortee is Charlie Kirk.
And also, like, to what extent are we assigning culpability of murder? Like, is it anything that could potentially become like a human life?
20 months, let's
like,
go.
If we're going down to like conception, why stop there? Why not like punish every unfertilized egg or every sperm that isn't used to fertilize
You're
an
right.
egg?
Every sperm is sacred.
Well, yeah, my genuinely, I've always been kind of confused by like, okay, you want to make this murder, but like, do you also want to prosecute like men who masturbate as murderers? Is that like, it would seem to me that those also have the potential to become human lives, right?
Also,
I don't know.
Also, what happens when a woman has her period, right? So, like, a cis woman has her period, or a trans guy has his period, and you have the flushing of an egg that goes out. Like, is that considered murder, or is it like only at the exact moment when insemination has occurred, despite the fact that there is no inclination that is a life yet? Is that the minute that we're worried about it?
It does seem like it's and like IUDs, like they like conception happens, but then like it doesn't attach to the uterine lining. Like, what is that murder? Like, where are we drawing the line here?
Ectopic pregnancies? Because I've seen Republicans try to argue that an ectopic pregnancy, which is always unviable, right, where it implants like on the uterine wall instead of actually going where it needs to go. And I've seen Republicans try to argue that like that's something that we need to stop abortions of. I'm like, but that just kills the person. That just is the doctor choosing to murder a person instead of what they're arguing against.
Well, and also like there are cases where twins will develop in the womb and then like are born, but like one of the twins is like fused into the other one, and
or one
clearly
of the twins
isn't
consumes the other one. Is the twin that consumed the other one now culpable for murder?
Well, unironically, like I read a news story a few days ago about like this little girl that was born and had like a twin fetus in her brain, and that had to be removed. Like, is that illegal? Like, by removing that, does that make your doctor a murderer? Like, like the lines are kind of insane. Once you open this Pandora's box of, abortion is murder.
Yeah. What about extra limbs? What if the extra limbs happen to be part of there's so many ways that this gets screwed up. But let's see how this gets argued the first time. Let's see where this goes.
So is the premise that he only has 20 minutes total to debate all of these people?
20 minutes total. I think it is. Like, you have 20 minutes total to debate all of them. A student has to rush to the middle to start the fight.
Okay. I also just want to take a moment to really appreciate that it looks like they rented out like a basement, like they were going to do a fight club. But it's like the nerd version of a fight club.
Yeah, it's... God, the warehouse that they do this in as well just looks... It feels weird.
Yeah, right.
With that little air conditioner there doing its best. Oh my God.
All right.
Can I maybe go?
Okay, hello, what's your
Hi,
name?
Juliana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Can
you.
we get our terms right first?
Yeah.
Okay, abortion is the forcible ending of the viability of a being in utero, otherwise known as a fetus. Do we agree that's what abortion?
Okay, so ending of viability. That's an interesting way to describe it. So an ectopic pregnancy being scraped would not be an abortion in his mind. It couldn't be an abortion because it was unviable to begin with.
And it does seem like he's just trying to, he's setting an arbitrary line. And I just want to really be clear here that his definition here is purely arbitrary. You could define it more widely or more broadly or more narrowly, but he's drawing his lines and he's doing so with intention,
Yeah.
Abortion is?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. And then murder is the intentional taking of life, different than killing or sudden death. So murder would be the intent taking another life. Do we agree with that?
You can kill with intent to take a life in self-defense, though. So I would say that what murder generally gets classified as something that you had to preempt. It's not just intent, it's something that you had to be previously inclined to do. There is more to murder than just that in a legal sense, I believe. But sure, if he wants to go ahead and go that route, fine. I don't see an issue there per se for the abortion thing.
Well, also what's interesting is that if he's making an appeal to a legal definition already, that's something we set up. We could have a system where murder is defined differently than it is, but abortion isn't murder right now or at least under
in enough states that matter.
Yeah.
Razor says he's basically including manslaughter in his definition of murder. Yeah, because so murder needs to be both unlawful and premeditated. Something is not murder if it is not unlawful and premeditated. If abortion is lawful, it is not murder. Definitionally,
exactly.
It's not murder. It is just... And I'm willing to say it's killing, because I'm willing to go down the route of the violinist, where we're cool.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just go ahead and call it a person, and it's killing a person, and there's a billion instances where we justify killing a person, right? As an example, we've currently got a billion justifications that people are trying to use for the killing of Marcellus Williams, which is a completely separate conversation that pisses me the fuck off. But, if we want to talk about legal murders... then the state is currently legally allowed to murder its citizens.
Exactly. It is... He's framing the issue in a very interesting way to favor his own positions, and that's why he immediately, stepped in to frame the conversation and define terms in his way.
Sakura in my chat says premeditating isn't required for murder. Yes, the fuck it is. It is actually in both of the definitions for murder. You can find the minute you look up murder. Premeditation is one of the things that makes it murder. That has been in our definitions in the legal systems for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I believe like first degree murder is like, you planned it out like the day before or even longer ago, versus like second degree is like in the moment, in the heat of the moment, you made the choice.
Let's see here. Murder is the unlawful killing of another human being without justification or valid excuse, committed with the necessary intention as defined by the law in a specific jurisdiction. The state of mind, depending on the jurisdiction, distinguish the murder and other forms of unlawful homicide, such as manslaughter. So that intentionality is the premeditation. That is the premeditation. I said out in the street, they just call it murder. But let's go ahead and continue.
Okay.
Okay, and then we agree that murder in general in society should be illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, no, I do want to preface
Wait,
that.
wait. Again, definitionally, murder is illegal. Like, that's how murder is defined. It's a legal term.
Yeah, like murder should not be allowed, and it is illegal. Cool, we agree with that. If it were legal, it would no longer be murder.
Yeah, it would just be killing, right?
It's just killing.
Yeah.
So I think one really important thing that the Bible says is to not judge. And just going back to the topic,
I don't even know where she's starting here. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused.
I am
I think
too.
there's a big difference between, cells in utero than a living, breathing, existing being.
Okay.
And while I do believe it's murder, and that's just my personal belief,
can
right?
we pause?
Yeah.
So, this is why I think like the violinist route is like the strongest position on abortion that I know of, and it's just that like it acknowledges like, yeah, sure, you can classify it as a human life, but that's really irrelevant to the conversation.
Yeah, because one of the main arguments that Republicans have tried to use for the longest time is that, we need to shorten it to 6 weeks because of the heartbeat. We need to shorten it to 20 weeks because of the brain waves. We need to shorten it to this, to that, the other thing. And they do it by saying this is the moment when it's a person. This is the magical moment when personhood is granted in some way, shape, or form. And that's why it's better to just argue as if, okay, cool, it's a person from inception. It doesn't fucking matter. There's a billion situations where we justify the killing of another human being in self-defense as a stand your ground law. Hell, stand your ground laws are actually a really cool example of this. So in a stand your ground state, like say Georgia or Florida, if somebody is in your home and you do not want them in your home and they refuse to vacate your home, that can be enough of a justification to engage in violence, to try to get them out of your home, because this is your place of safety. This is your castle. It is castle doctrine, and you do not want the person in your home, and they will not leave. So if you have a fetus in you, and the fetus will not leave because it cannot be reasoned with, the same as a person who is being unreasonable, choosing to use violence to make the fetus leave is no different than a stand your ground law. You are choosing to engage in a form of violence, or in this case killing, to remove the fetus from your body, which if that is not your fucking castle, then I don't know what the hell it is.
Well, and I think it's a very strong position to argue from the standpoint of bodily autonomy, right? Like, if like you would never like. I think again, this is why the violinist is really a great analogy. No, metaphor.
It's a thought experiment.
Thought experiment, hypothetical. Because even if you grant that this other entity is a fully grown adult person that like can be independent, it doesn't matter. You can still deny your bodily autonomy to be used to perpetuate their life.
I would make an addendum to that, though. I actually don't think bodily autonomy is the best argument.
It might not be the best argument, but I do think a lot of people find it one of the most compelling ones.
So I think bodily, when people say bodily autonomy, I think most of the time they mean bodily integrity. So Cambridge University has a really good document on the differences between the two of them. It defines bodily autonomy as the protection of a person's capacity to make decisions in relation to their own body. So bodily autonomy would be you choose to have a tattoo and nobody else wants you to have a tattoo, but you still can get a tattoo. Bodily autonomy protects stuff like that. Bodily integrity, though, is the person's exclusive use and control of their body, which necessitates the ability to stop somebody else from using your body or controlling your body, which is what a fetus would be doing in this scenario. They are using a portion of your body you don't consent to. That's why I put the distinction there.
Yeah, I see the distinction now that yeah.
Yeah, because they sound really similar, because oftentimes when we're describing one, we're using the terms we use for the other one.
Yeah, and like you know, in order to have the integrity, you also need the autonomy. Yeah. But I understand.
So let's see. She's going with the Bible saying "Don't judge."
Yeah, this is not a great tactic to use on Charlie Kirk unless you really know your biblical stuff to like argue scripture with him, you know? And honestly, it's not very convincing to people outside of that.
Yeah.
And telling people what to do with their bodies. That's not up to me, and it's not up to us as well as Christians to judge.
Should we prevent murder in society?
For sure, yeah.
Then it should be illegal.
But I think that it's really different, right? Because, you know, these people aren't.
Oh, okay. They vote people out of the debate chair?
Yeah,
all right.
And they've all decided, like, this is not a... I would be holding the red flag up, too, because this was not a convincing start.
Okay, nice.
Is he sitting there on his phone? He's sitting there on his phone!
Oh, wait. Okay, I have seen
what's your
this
name?
clip, but I haven't watched the clip. I just know, like, this lady's face.
Yeah. Senna says, to be fair, she was doing poorly. Yup, she was.
Ima,
nice to meet you.
Okay, can I just ask, at how many weeks do you think that a fetus is viable?
Well, viability and moral worth are two different things.
No, but I'm asking you, at how many weeks do you think?
These are two different things. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. He set the term as viability. That was his term, his realm of the debate. He chose. So when asked about viability, he then tries to putter away from it. No, bitch, you don't get to do that.
Attempted dodge. Rolls a 1.
You got a nat 1.
I like her boots. I like her boots a lot. Lamoda,
There's a level of confidence in wearing those boots. Those are step on Charlie Kirk boots.
Exactly.
About 20 weeks, a baby can survive outside of utero.
So it's actually 24 to 26
weeks?
weeks?
20. The youngest ever in a NICU unit actually happened in San Diego, not far from here. And
wait. But that's an
youngest
edge case.
Ever. Yeah, the youngest ever is not the average viability.
Yeah, you don't go, I'm gonna live to 123 because that's what some humans can live to. And like, no, you're probably gonna die at like 80 or 90. Not because I want you to die at 80 or 90, but like statistically speaking, that's about the longest most of us get to go.
Not me, I'm built different.
Yeah, and Sakura points out as well, the youngest person ever to give birth would be 5. So if we're going to start doing, like, the edge cases, then suddenly we have child pregnancy on the table as A-OK.
Oh, to be clear, I think Charlie Kirk is 100% on board with child pregnancies.
I have, the intrusive thoughts in my head that came immediately in response to that are horrible. And, and I think you probably had the exact same ones.
Yep.
Yeah? Nope. I live close. Jesus Christ, you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember in Tennessee when they tried to have a special, unique, different set of marriage laws for cis people, or for cis hetero people? That way they had, like, this is what true marriage is, and then there's the old marriage that the gays can have. But then the true marriage, quote unquote, didn't have an age restriction.
Yep, I remember that.
And there was a fucking senator in Tennessee that was sitting there going, yeah, I know that there's not an age restriction in the law. And like, my guy...
was that Mike Moon, I think?
I think
Representative
so.
Mike Moon? Yeah.
It was yikesy as shit. And I'm just like, tell me in fewer words that you have fantasies about harming a child. Tell me in fewer words that that's a thing you actively want to do.
Yeah. God.
Oy, oy, oy.
Survived at 20 weeks.
Okay, so under Roe v. Wade, 93% of abortions happened in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's 93% of the abortions happened well before a fetus is technically viable as a form of life.
So let's go into viability. So
Let's avoid viability. Okay, let's go into viability.
Did you see him like thousand yard staring
He just sat
and
there
blinking
like,
at her?
how dare you bring stats to me?
How dare you actually know information? Next time we're getting middle schoolers.
You know for a fact that half of the thought process is just racist right now. He's just sitting there going, "There's no way that this black woman," and his thought began with that, and it invalidates everything that came after the thought.
Yeah. Oh God.
Like I refuse to believe that anybody with the level of bigotry that he has and the level of like apologetics for white nationalism that he has does not have those thoughts during these confrontations. He has he first goes, "How dare this woman?" And then he goes to her race, and then like I am 100% certain that is going on in his brain.
Yeah.
What is it about, let's say, a 6-week baby that has a heartbeat, its own DNA, fingerprint, brain waves?
Hey, DNA, fingerprint, and brain waves does not actually mean that something is a viable life form.
Yeah, he's just doing another dodge
Now it's
from
just
his
like,
own definition.
This flesh golem.
That is less moral worth than an 88-year-old right now with dementia.
Again, see, moral worth.
Who the fuck is talking about 88-year-olds here, my guy?
He is trying to make this about moral worth, which is very interesting to me, because he talked about the terms at the beginning and was not moral worth.
Moral worth was not one of the arguments that he had there. He gish-galloped his way away.
Yeah.
Home down the street. That person requires assistance, requires help. Why is it that the 6-week baby is of less moral worth?
Well, first of all, it's not a baby, it's a fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the
Why the fuck does that matter?
It means
What does it mean in Latin? What does it mean in Latin? I don't give a fuck what it means in Latin, you fucking moron! We're not speaking Latin. We aren't the fucking White Council from the Dresden Files. We don't speak in fucking Latin, you idiot.
This is so fucking funny. Like, as if the meaning of it in Latin fundamentally changes the equation here. It doesn't. It doesn't. Hey, guess what? The Latin words came from older languages too. What does fetus mean in those older languages? Show me the complete etymology of the word from today to ancient Sumerian, okay? I want to know. What did it mean in the ancient Sumerian?
Like, I just want to call him a stultus. That's what I want to do. I want to call him a stultus, because that's the Latin word for idiot.
means little human being.
Look at that! The fucking it means little human being. Okay, cool. My guy, did you know that when the term Caucasian was coined for denoting what a white person was, and Mongoloid was termed for denoting what an Asian person was, we hadn't yet sequenced DNA? We didn't actually know what the fuck we were talking about when we made races up? That doesn't yield legitimacy to race as a social concept. My guy.
Yeah, like it is one of the very interesting things, right? Is that there are so many words whose meanings change over time because culture, changes, and culture dictates kind of like our general usage of terms dictates what words mean, right? And like I don't know, like simple words like it was either boy or kid used to be like what you would call, I think it was boy, used to be like what you would call like
a little girl
boys
was a little
and
boy.
girls.
Yeah. A little
Yeah,
girl was
like,
a little boy. Also, the term male, how like for right now, when I use the term man versus male, most people understand I'm using male to mean biology and I'm using man to mean gender. That's what most people tend to use between those two terms. But a long time ago, back in Greece, if you used the term male, that was what you used to describe a child who was a guy from the ages of 11 to 15. That's what male was used for.
Also, to correction, it wasn't the term boy that used to mean both. Girl used to mean children regardless of sex. So like back before I think the 1400s, if you were referring to kids, you would just call them girls.
Yeah, I just fuck Charlie Kirk. Just anyway.
The smile is very creepy. Okay.
Your smile is very creepy. You know what? I want to hear more of what she has to say.
Yeah.
Smiling is creepy.
No, your
smile is
specifically.
creepy.
But let's go back to we're losing track here.
No, but is what species is the fetus?
The fetus is not a species yet. It's technically classified as a parasite until it is viable.
So,
now I want to talk to you about something very quickly.
I can't let you get past that. Are you saying a baby is a disease or a tumor?
A parasite is not a disease.
So a parasite is neither of those things, but a parasite is not a living life form.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's so interesting that, like, he's hung up on, what's the Latin meaning of the word fetus? But then he's like, from a parasite, you must mean insert other things that are not relevant.
From a press release from the University of Reading, the fetus is described as acting in a parasitic way. It avoids rejection by the mother, exerts considerable influence over her metabolism for its own benefit, and diverts blood and nutrients to itself. It exhibits every single behavior of a parasite. So the fact that we describe many things in a top-down fashion, again, let's go back to the race thing. We described different races before we knew anything about what went on in the human body. We described them in a top-down fashion, and that made these descriptions terribly inaccurate. And they got even less accurate over time as people mixed their races more and more. But that top-down definition is a very normal thing that we do socially. So if we are describing the fetus by what it does, then it's a fucking parasite. A lot like a lot of Republicans.
Also, can we just, like, clarify, like, something being a parasite doesn't mean it's bad. You know? It's bad if you don't want the parasite.
Some parasites have a pseudo-symbiotic relationship, right? And you're right, Sakura. Parasites can live. I was mixing up parasite with virus. Viruses are not considered technically alive by most definitions of life. Parasites, on the other hand, can be. So that was a mistake on my part. But, okay.
And a tumor, those are not the same thing. A parasite is defined as something that cannot survive outside of its host. A baby, before it is viable, cannot survive outside of a woman's womb.
Got it. So let's extrapolate that.
It is not a living organism.
Are old people with Alzheimer's and dementia that...
So where she messed up a little bit here is therefore it's not a living organism. Parasites can be living organisms. Fleas are parasites.
Right. Again, if more people like just played into like the violinist, you know, it does. Yeah, sure, it's killing a human life, but that human life is parasitic at that stage of development. You know,
I think the reason that he wants to do the viability thing, the reason he brings that there is because he knows it's a leading argument. He knows that the viability conversation is a stronger argument for Republicans because it does this very Christian idea of treating all lives as equal. I say idea because it never fucking happens in execution, right? It's bad
Charlie,
turn of phrase there, sorry.
And Charlie is about to go into like, well, the elderly require help from society in order to live. Are they not parasites? And it's like, no, because the existence of someone in society is different than like the existence of of like a human life inside of a human body that cannot be independent. You know, like there's I think there's a difference between these two things.
There's also if we're going to talk about the moral worth of something, part of that worth is the accumulated experiences around that thing, around that person. As an example, the fetus has no accumulated experiences, no peers, no anything. There's nothing there. An elderly person who requires a lot of support has an accumulated set of experiences between their life, which have worth, and also the experiences they have had with other social human beings, because we equate a lot of our worth to social situations all the time. So these are experiences they've had with their family, with their friends, with their peers, with their coworkers, and also there's experience that can be gained from people who are elderly. If we're going to do the whole cold cut, let's just talk about the value of the thing, then cool. Elderly people bring a lot of wisdom, stuff that they have learned throughout their life that they are able to pass down. A fetus can do none of those things. A fetus doesn't have this ability. And typically, once somebody gets to the point where they can no longer impart wisdom, no longer function, no longer do any of these things, yes, Charlie, we do actually have lots of serious conversations about killing them. It's called pulling the plug on grandma.
Yeah, and also, like, let's not pretend that Charlie Kirk, if given the opportunity, wouldn't summarily cut off all support to vulnerable elderly people across the country. Like, Charlie Kirk believes in abolishing Social Security. Like, he's not someone who thinks that the elderly should be taken care of in the first place.
Right. He's willing to use them as a prop when it is convenient to him. But once it stops being convenient to him, then that's an issue. Also, there's one other area where the elderly come into play. The way that the elderly are taken care of by society is typically with tax dollars, typically with money that has been raised by the family. Typically, it is done by other people who are being paid for the job of taking care of grandma or grandpa. That is how that functions. Do you want to know who gets paid for taking care of a child while it's a fetus? Absolutely nobody. There are no resources diverted to them. There is nothing that is given to a woman simply for being pregnant. So if we are going to have the conversation about the elderly, then we need to bring in all aspects of the elderly and the ways in which they are completely different. Their social parasitism is wholly different than biological parasitism that is found with fetuses.
Yeah, and also, oftentimes, the elderly spent their entire lives paying into these programs in order for them to pay back when they're older. You know, like, they gave their lifetime of labor to this system, and the system's contractual obligation with them is that they will now be taken care of.
Are being assisted every day. Are they parasites?
No, they're not parasites. They're human beings who are on the brink of death.
Got it. So
they're not going to be able to survive.
My 4-month-old that requires mom's breast milk and requires daily changes and feedings cannot survive without its own. Can we 4-month-old.
Can we pause this?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so now Charlie Kirk is pivoting in an interesting direction where he's trying to say that his already born child
is equivalent to a fetus.
Yeah, which is very weird to me. That's a interesting line of argumentation.
Yeah, we are in the post-birth area, which means we are we don't abort people post-birth, by the way, unless you consider like what our prison system does. Like that's a thing that it does, where it just decides arbitrarily. Our police system as well does post-birth abortions, where they decide arbitrarily that a citizen's skin color is just enough to aim a gun at, right?
Yep.
It's a very late term abortion, but it is a thing that we fund with our tax dollars already.
He was dying for the
Your baby
opportunity
can
to say
breathe
mom's
on its
breast
own.
milk.
Your baby can drink water.
Man, I am so the entire reason that me and Naomi became friends at all was because of the Matt Walsh breast milk incident. So
God.
now I can't think of that without thinking of Matt Walsh. I can't hear breast milk without thinking of Walsh. I hate it so much.
Oh, God.
From its mouth to its stomach.
But it cannot.
Your baby can eat
it hunt?
food.
Can it gather? Can it reason?
But that's not...
No, but look, I will argue with you that 90% of Twitter users can't hunt, gather, or reason. And you know what? Actually, that is probably a good argument for aborting them.
Okay, the next video that Charlie Kirk does with Jubilee, I want to see him do those things. I want to see Charlie
I want to see
Kirk,
him hunt. I want to see him gather breast milk.
Yeah, drop him off in the middle of the wilderness and have him make like a 100-mile trek back to civilization.
God, you know what this reminds me
Survive.
of? Did you ever read World War Z?
I did not know.
Okay, so there's a moment in the book where the current president of the United States is having a conversation with a journalist, and the concept for World War Z is that it is the events after the zombies came, did their shit, and humanity kind of sort of won after 97% of their population got wiped out. Like, they survived. I don't know if I'd consider it winning, but they survived. So
Pyrrhic victory.
the president has a conversation about root beer, and he just starts naming off all of the imported products required to manufacture root beer in the United States. And he notes that there are no root beer facilities in the United States because there is no way to get all of the different products that are required anymore to make it. It was completely impossible after all of the infrastructure was gone. That's how Charlie Kirk reads to me right now.
Yeah.
A man who can talk about this thing that he takes for granted, but I guarantee you when put in the scenario where he needs to actually hunt to survive, he's not going to fucking know what to do.
Yeah, no.
He'll be fucking lost. Oh. Senna says, talk about eye-opening. World War Z is a very good read. If I ever get an Audible sponsorship, it's the thing I'm going to recommend to everybody because it is just a damn good book. And
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
The movie makes me very angry because it has nothing to do with the book.
What qualifies something as being a living organism? Being a living organism simply means, can you survive outside of a womb, outside of your host?
Got it. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Why does that then equate to moral viability?
It
Can we
equates to
pause?
scientific.
It's biological viability, motherfucker.
Yeah, again, like, also, for the vast majority of human history, the concept of, like, a fetal viability was, hey, can it be born? Like, can it come out of the womb and take its first breath? That is when it becomes a person. It is generally, historically, how most civilizations have, like, judged. I won't say all because, like, I don't have that encyclopedic knowledge, but I did study history. Most civilizations have put the point of, like, can it take its breath outside the womb? And Charlie Kirk is trying to argue from a completely different perspective. And it's very weird. And I'm still trying to figure out what angle he's going to go for most of this, I guess.
Yeah, it's... The whole conversation for him feels like a giant gish gallop, where instead of focusing on one thing, the viability thing, he tries to move it to whatever he thinks is most strategically sound, as opposed to doing what you should normally do in a debate, which is have a consistent position and defend it. He seems to have the position of, I want to defend abortion, and he's willing to grab from a literal grab bag of random bullshit to find what he can to defend his stance on abortion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think he's here very, very transparently to try and, like, own the libs, to, like, make himself look good, and, like, you know, increase his profile. I feel like that's entirely why he's here, but he's not looking real good at the moment.
Let's also be honest, the only people that Charlie Kirk can debate are the only people that Ben Shapiro can debate, an army of children.
Yeah.
Scientific viability.
Why? Under what standard?
Because it is not alive, and you are advocating for the rights of something that is not technically a life.
Got it. So what is something
while
that has
sacrificing the needs of the human woman who is alive.
Got it. So, but a mom can survive.
Yes.
Without the baby in her.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay,
Right?
he's
The baby
he's
cannot
gonna
survive
make this
without the mom.
Yeah. Yes.
But a mom cannot survive without her lungs. So it's not her body, it's in her body.
Yeah, that's the point, Charlie.
Yeah, it's in her body. And again, this is why I made the point about bodily
Integrity,
exclusivity,
yeah.
bodily integrity. Bodily integrity is the ability to have access to the exclusive use and control of your body. A violinist should not be able to have use of your body that you do not consent to. If you do not consent to the child being in your body, you fucking yeet them. If you do not consent to the crazy person being in your house, you fucking shoot them.
I just realized we haven't explained what the violinist is. Do you wanna take a shot at that?
Sure. So the violinist argument is it's actually a book, a very, very short story, but it's effectively a thought experiment that says, let's say that you are in a car crash with a world-famous violinist. This is, Imperial Gamer, think about the follow. This is one of the most important people in modern-day society. His music is loved by all. He is a national asset. You, on the other hand, are effectively carpooling with him. You have no viability on the world stage. You're just a random nobody, which is most people in general. Like, most of us are random nobodies, so this is applying to you. So, you get in a car crash with a violinist. You wake up and the violinist is attached to your body via a series of tubes. And a doctor tells you that the violinist needs to be attached to you and you need to not be able to move. You need to sit here and basically provide nutrients for his body for 9 months for him to survive. Do you have the ability? Is it okay for you to exercise your own exclusivity to your body and say, no, I do not wish to be attached to this violinist for 9 months? Again, he is a living, breathing person. He is 100% viable, right? Like, he's lived several years of his life. He has lived experiences with everybody around him. However, do you owe him your body?
Lucky
and
13. Glad I'm not a violinist.
Not should you morally do so, should you morally try to save a life. The conversation is, should you be legally culpable for murder if you choose not to be strapped to the violinist? Bear in mind, before answering this, that every single thing I said can be transplanted to transplant arguments, like kidney transplants. Should you owe somebody your kidney by the mere merit that you are a match for them? Do you owe them a portion of your body, regardless of how much time it may or may not take from you? Do you own the parts of your body more than society owns the parts of your body?
Yeah. And I think it's a great argument because it fully acknowledges, hey, this other person is a fully grown, viable human being that is reliant on your body. Like, do you, even given all of that, given the strongest possible formulation of like the anti-abortion argument, abortion is still like the thing. It's still right. It's still, you should have bodily integrity. You should have a right to that under any and all circumstances.
Yep.
You know?
Imperial Gamer in my chat is pointing out that, taps the sign, it doesn't matter. When life begins, when a fetus is a human or not, any of that stuff is all a red herring, which is why that's what he's trying to focus on. None of that matters. What matters at the end of the day is whether somebody else is owed the use of your body. And most sane people would say no. And if you want to say that, yes, other people are owed the use of your body, not your knowledge, not your expertise, not your labor, the use of your biological components, then I sincerely hope you never wake up one day in an ice bath with a strangely stitched scar area near where your kidneys might have been.
Yeah. Like, it is directly related to like organ harvesting. Should the state have the right to harvest your organs, to keep other people alive?
Yeah. And I, like, where like in that particular conversation, I'm of the opinion that if you are dead, the rights to that should go away. But as it stands right now, you do have the right to deny harvesting of your organs, but you don't have the ability to deny a fetus the right to take your organs and forcibly use them for multiple months, which means right now, for instance, in the state of Georgia, after 6 weeks, a woman has fewer rights, a trans man has fewer rights than a fucking corpse when it comes to the usage of their bodies.
Also, Foxbat, sometimes, look, if someone's in the organ harvesting business, they're not necessarily going to be the most ethical. They might take both your kidneys. Like they're only leaving you one to be nice.
Look, all I'm saying is Daddy needs a new suitcase, okay? And each of these kidneys is worth $39,000 on the black market. Maybe about $20,000 if I get one of the Chinese getting it. They got plenty. All I'm saying is I did you a favor by not upgrading to the premium diamond-studded briefcase Daddy was looking at the whole time. You got to keep one kidney. That's good enough for you.
Oh, gee whiz, thanks, mister.
Ah, don't mention it. Here, have a 20 for your trouble. You wake up the next day in an ice bath again. I thought nothing was gonna happen to me. The gangster's just sitting there then. It's a real shame, but if you need one to live, I got a steal of one that just came in the mail today. If you'd like to buy it, we'll put it right in you. Are you trying to sell me my own kidney again? Hey, that's business.
I mean, we are joking, but like unironically, like the situation that Charlie Kirk is putting forward is pretty analogous.
Yeah, we make fun of it because we live. Both me and Jack involve ourselves in politics every day as our jobs. That's what we do. So there's a level of dark humor that is needed to cope with the harsh realities of living in the United States.
It's not her DNA, so it's not her choice. So it
actually is directly her DNA.
It's
wait,
it is 100%. It's
they pulled up the red flags. Jesus Christ.
No, I just like.
It's not her DNA. It's not her choice, but it is her DNA. 50% of it is hers.
But also, I've never heard the argument, oh, it's not your DNA, it's not your choice. Like, that has never been at all a standard, ever.
Look, all I'm saying is it may have been your DNA when it was in your body, but the minute Mr. Slicey gets a hold of you, it ain't your DNA anymore.
You have chimerism? Not your DNA.
But he's like 33% my DNA, and the other of it is probably broken chromosomes. I don't know.
Edward.
Big brother.
Right. Okay.
Remember, everybody, you got to watch that scene twice.
Yep.
Maya to VT, our DNA comrade. Jassa says, does the violinist argument only work if you're directly related? No. The violinist argument had them as completely separate from you. You have no connection to them other than that you're fucking carpooling.
Yep.
Like, that's it.
Or you can have, like, more aggressive forms where, like, you got into a car accident and it was your negligence.
It was your fault that caused it to happen. Like, there's all kinds of ways that you can modify the violinist argument to make it a closer and closer allegory, but the reason that it is proposed as being so far away is to show that even in this scenario, where the person is in a different class than you do not owe them your body.
Exactly. Like, even in the case where they're, like, the foremost researcher in their field, or, like, the best athlete in the world at what they do, or, like, whatever, like, you would still have the right to your bodily integrity.
Yup.
50% of her DNA.
Half her DNA. He's gonna win, I'm telling you.
All right.
This could take a while.
It's this guy.
Okay, first of all,
Do we have our terms correct? We agree?
Actually, no.
Wait,
so first of all, I'd like to refine our...
He does not agree.
So does Charlie Kirk know who this guy is? Is this guy, like, internet famous? Because Jubilee has a tendency to, like, stack their shows with, like, people who are, like, prominent influencers. Is he, like, big on TikTok or something?
I don't know. Let me go ahead and do a quick thing. Dean from Jubilee. Dean Jubilee. Let me see here. Yeah, this is the guy from Can One Woke Teen Survive 20 Trump Supporters? Yeah. On TikTok, it's Dean. But I don't know if he's like a prominent influencer. Let's see here. At its Dean. How big is he? Oh, he's huge.
Oh, okay. That makes way more
he's
sense.
727,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay, and that makes more sense because like Charlie Kirk seems like he knows who this guy is. So
yeah, he looks like he does a lot of man on the street stuff as well.
Okay.
Okay, so that's fair. I'll take that. This guy knows his shit. Let's go.
Our terms. I have 2 points to bring up after that, though. So you define murder as like intentionally like killing a human being. I think that's a very poor way to define murder because if someone were to like break into my home and point a gun at the heads of me and everybody I love, and I intentionally
that was the argument you brought up
from killing my family, I don't think I murdered them, right? So I would.
Yeah, that's stand your ground. That's stand your ground. That's different. There's a reason I bring that shit up. Anyway.
Excellent.
Define murder as the unjustified termination of a human life.
You're making a good point. Let me further clarify that. So, self-defense is very warranted.
Exactly, right?
All right, cool. I would like to defend myself from this parasite that wants at least 20% of the nutrients from the Oreo cookie that I ingested 20 seconds ago. And I'll have you know that I would not let an adult violinist get 20% of my fucking Oreo cookie. So why would I let this fetus get it?
Well, and it's interesting here because I think Charlie is going to try now to go in like, you have moral culpability because you made the decision to have sex. I feel like that's where he's going with this. And that's interesting, but he's moving farther and farther and farther away from his premise, which is, I think telling for the strength of his position.
Altfact says pre-watched. Actually, no, I haven't watched the Charlie Kirk half of this at all. This is all new information for me. But anybody who's been watching my channel for long enough knows that I have used the stand your ground argument for... I've used a couple of arguments. I've used the stand your ground argument before, but I've also used a far more sinister one, which is the most pro-Christian argument for abortion, which is if you are a Christian who believes in the age of reason, the age of culpability, which is a typical Christian belief where like after a certain point you are your own faith is your own responsibility, but like if a child dies without the capacity for faith in God, they are not barred from heaven at that point, because that wouldn't be fair to the child. A just God would not do that. So one of my favorite arguments is, okay, cool. If you are a true Christian, you shouldn't be anti-abortion. You should be so pro-abortion, you are actively trying to find fetuses to eliminate everywhere, because every eliminated fetus is a saved soul.
Well, and also, the Bible is pro-abortion.
It is.
It
Numbers
gives you instructions.
Yeah, Numbers actually has instructions on how to create an abortion potion. And strangely enough, the abortion potion only works if the woman cheated on you.
Yep.
It's very weird.
Yeah. So I just want to throw that out there, but also like to kind of like the breaking and entering. Like if someone breaks into your house. Do you have the right to like violently expel them? And yes, obviously. But like, I think Charlie's gonna be like, but that's, they're not a threat. It's a baby. You made the baby. And it's like, well, okay, but if you invite someone in your house to like, have a meal, right? And then they somehow through like a secret passage slip into the walls of your house and just start living there for months. And you suddenly are like,
is this just the guy from Smiling Friends that Alan found in the walls?
I actually don't want you living in the walls of my house. Please leave. You're justified in using violent force to expel that person who's living in the walls of your house.
I believe that it is perfectly justifiable to kill anybody trying to get Alan's cheese. I think that is a reasonable position to have.
Yeah.
I can see where you're going to go with how that has to go with abortion, but we can go down that journey in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I kind of do want to give you my argument insofar as why I'm pro-choice, why I think it's justified. But first, I think that, your position is quite absurd, right? Because you're saying that it is murder to kill a human being, right, at any point in development, especially when
this guy is such a debate
question
Chad.
To you would be, well, does this make women with IUDs murderers? Because it is the case that in some scenarios, an IUD will allow for conception.
I brought that up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see where this goes.
Meaning there's a unique human life
Can I just say?
Yeah.
seeing someone who like looks like Tom Holland respect into debate bro on his skill tree is very
Fortnite
jarring
Tom
to
Holland.
me. Yeah.
Dean, that is now your. If you ever stumble on this video, you are Fortnite Tom Holland.
But it will prevent its implantation, intentionally killing it.
Well, no, preventing implantation is not necessarily the same thing as terminating a fertilized egg.
What?
For example,
Okay,
Yo,
but
what?
the way an IUD works is not preventative. The way an IUD works is it allows something to get to the uterine wall and then flushes it.
Charlie Kirk has like already kind of stipulated that like once conception occurs that is a human life, but now he's backing away from it. It's like, oh well, sure, the conception occurred, but like it hasn't embedded in the uterine wall, so that's kind of okay. You know, a woman with an IUD isn't a murderer, because he doesn't want to take that position because he knows it makes him look absolutely crazy.
Yep. It's literally just thickening the cervical mucus. So that, yeah, the sperm gets there, but it's not able to do as much, which then the body flushes the egg. I'm sorry, that's a Plan B pill.
Charlie Kirk is just taking that goalpost and running for the hills.
Example, if you take Plan B, again, it's not the same thing. Preventing the production of progesterone is not the same thing as terminating a being that has been fertilized. You do not know for a fact that the egg has been fertilized. You do not know that when you have an IUD.
Okay, yeah, so preventing fertilization or implantation to the uterine lining is killing a conceived zygote. So what happens? A sperm goes into the egg, right? The egg becomes fertilized. It's a conceived zygote. In some cases, it will prevent the implantation of the conceived zygote, killing the conceived zygote.
In some cases, correct.
So what do you say in some cases?
Wait, hold on. Hold the fuck on, mister. Why are you able to do the some cases for we've had a kid birthed at 20 months old? Why is it okay for you to do the in some cases? You take the rarest fucking possible case and use that. But when you're presented with somebody going, hey, by the way, this is how this technology works, you could go, oh, only in some cases.
The fringes for me, but not for these, Suris.
Yeah. Oh my god. Hitchmeister, abortion is wrong. Birth control is wrong. Pulling out is wrong. We have to make more people outnumber the ones who worship the other gods, who, by the way, totally exist. So Hitchmeister, here's the thing. I am of the opinion that Charlie Kirk and people like him 100% utilize abortions. They 100% utilize them when they need to. Republican politicians do this shit all the time. Conservative pastors do this shit all the time. They are willing to use these services when it benefits them. However, when they need to get up on a stage, they get to say, no, I have the moral position. Why? I don't know.
Well, because it's much easier to do the mental gymnastics that you are an exception, that you're the super special birthday boy that deserves to break the rules. It's much easier to do those gymnastics than to, question their general worldview.
Jassa says your previous Senate candidate was like that. Dad, doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Cases women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not. They're not murderers. We do not know for a case. That's like saying that.
So what's the difference between an IUD killing a conceived zygote and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb?
Well, so you're asking two separate things. If they,
hey, I like this guy.
We're not asking two separate things.
Yeah, but I also like that he's willing to bite the bullet. Like, yeah, sure, it's a life. You're killing a life. Sure, whatever. Immaterial to the actual question.
Republicans have a breeding kink.
I mean, literally, did you see all those posts on Nude Africa by?
Oh my God! I'll have you know that was the anonymous user, Mini Soldier, and not the Republican candidate.
Did you see?
Mark would never be a black Nazi.
Did you see the Mini Soldier posts where he was taking fashion photography of dolls in SS uniforms?
No, I didn't. Yeah. Oh my God.
He had an account where he posted doll photography of Nazi dolls.
Oh
it's pretty great.
I did not see that.
None of us, none of us could not see.
He's got Nazi dolls. Oh my god. He's just sitting there with a Ken doll going, look, I understand you're upset, okay? But that doesn't mean you get to come in another box.
Why are they so weird?
If they knew for certain, to be more clear, that I have a fertilized egg and I'm going to take a drug to prevent that fertilized egg from attaching to their uterine wall, then yes, that is an act of killing.
So wait, it is not okay. Let me get it right. It is not okay, Charlie, to aim a gun at somebody and shoot the gun at them knowing it will probably end in their death. But it is okay to take a automatic weapon and spray and pray into a trailer park, for instance. And, you know, if it just happens to kill somebody, then that's totally different. No, These are the same fucking thing, my guy, and if one is okay, so is the other.
It just seems like he's now like so far away from his initial position where he's like, well, you know, if they know that they have an egg inside of them that is fertilized, then they are murderers. And like he's like desperately trying to contort this. But like they knew that they were going to be having sex. That's why they have an IUD, to prevent getting pregnant.
It's just a want to control cis women's bodies. That's all it is.
I go back and forth on this. Is it because they want to control, like Charlie Kirk specifically? Does he want to control women's bodies, or is it merely a convenient avenue for him to take power? You know, or maybe a little bit of both.
I think it's a little bit of both. So the reason I think it's control mostly is if you look at how they frame a lot of these things, they frame it as if he's the stern father, right? This is your responsibility. You have to take it. This is God's punishment to you for having premarital sex, right? That's how it usually gets framed by these kinds of people. It's very much I have power over you and this is your punishment thing. This is a form of control here. Yeah. And so I can see it being both there.
Also, it is pretty interesting. Someone in my chat brought up, like, so if a woman were to deliberately keep herself in the dark about whether or not she's pregnant and, like, goes to, like, a clinic and the clinicians don't say anything about what they're doing, is she happens to get an abortion, but she doesn't know that. She just knows something's weird with her body. Would she still be a murderer? Is it merely like if women are kept in a state of ignorance, then they're no longer murderers?
You know, funnily enough, actually, this reminds me of something California did. So for years, California had knowingly transferring AIDS to somebody as a felony offense. It became something that, if you knowingly gave it, this was a thing that was brought in during the Nixon and Reagan eras. If you knowingly gave somebody AIDS, then that caused you to be culpable for a felony offense. Now, this is obviously done in good spirit, right? You don't want somebody infecting somebody else with a virus, but the side effect of that was that what people would do is they would never get themselves tested. They would never get themselves tested for any STDs or STIs because the trick with the law was they had to know. If they did not know, they couldn't be held culpable for it. As a result, about 5-ish years ago, California changed the law so that it wasn't a felony offense, it was a misdemeanor, and conservatives got super fucking angry about it. Actually, this is back when Hunter Abalone was still very much in like the conservative brain rot era of his content, and I did a video responding to Hunter responding to that, and when I found out the reason why, because it sounded on paper like it was a horrible thing. Why would you lower the punishment for knowingly spreading a deadly virus? But when you
the headlines write themselves.
Yeah, but when you looked into the details of what was going on, you realized, oh, the rates of infection went down after lowering the punishment rate because more people were willing to get tested. Once they got tested, it was easier to stay more safe. And now that being tested was seen as much more safe to do, because, like, you don't want to get tested and be like, oh, well, my sex life is over, even though there are people who are perfectly willing to go like, hey, you're taking these medications, I'm taking these precautions, I love you, I'm willing to take that risk. That we live in a day and age where that is possible now for people to do. But this law was very, very archaic, and it was very, very well-intentioned, but the execution ended up hurting more people than it ended up helping. This is the same kind of thing there. If you end up putting this line to the women are educated enough to understand this thing, then the goal doesn't become save the children. The goal becomes leave the women less educated, which is not what we want to do.
Exactly.
Because we saw this shit happen in California.
Yeah. And like it is maybe to a similar extent, like with like when it comes to like pedophilia, right? Like there was like I think this was big in conservative circles, like maybe a couple years ago, where they would find researchers that were talking about using different terms, like minor attracted person, I think was the big one. MAP.
Yeah, MAP.
And like the use of those terms to try and like create a more conducive environment where like people could like go and get therapy rather than like bottling it all up and then eventually like acting on their worst impulses. Like actually go get treatment for that so you don't harm children.
The difference between a pedophile and a predator.
Yeah, but then conservatives were like, "Oh, look, they're trying to make pedophilia more acceptable," and it's like literally the opposite.
LGBTQIAP, that whole shit.
Yeah, it's which do you care more about? Do you care more about like being angry and like, you know, advocating for violence, or do you care more about actually reducing like the number of like the number of predators acting on children? You know,
there was a lot of study done on this. So I did a video on Lolicon, all the research that was done into how much this actually leads to people engaging in harmful behaviors, the ways these communities operate, and a lot of the research that I found looking into that, finding the ways that an arguably very disgusting community operates. One of the things that was found is that a lot of the same triggers for QAnon were there as well, where somebody would go...
Really?
So what would happen is people would create a movement, right? A movement against a few people because they would see them as predators. The only argument they would have that they are predators would be something along the lines of they like anime. For instance, I get called a predator all the time on my channel for having the avatar that I do, even though I use it not as often as I used to. But I would still use it, right? So just for using it, I'll get called a predator. And I've had, there was one conservative guy called God's Gun, Guts, and Glory who actually made a video of him talking to his 9-year-old calling me a pedophile.
Oh, Jesus. What the hell?
For having... And it was before I even had my avatar the way I did. It was just my old cartoon Suris avatar. This is old lore. And so what you find is people who find a red flag to them that they use to say, oh, this person is harming kids. Because that is the easiest thing to get human beings upset at. Human beings, by and large, we want to protect kids. We don't want kids to be hurt. And so anything that is seen as protecting kids, we will jump the gun to do. And we are often very, very afraid to do anything that makes us look like we would be something that would harm a child, or that we are in the same boat as somebody who would harm a child. We get terrified of that. So what this research showed was that with the QAnon movement, oftentimes what people were doing was they were spending all of their time and energy finding these false flags. Pizzagate was a big one. Oh, let's go ahead and find these children who are locked up in the bottom of a pizzeria, and let's save them. And then there was no actual basement in the pizzeria. That whole scenario happens. So with the QAnon movement, you got a bunch of these people who found what they thought were red flags and aimed all of their time, all their resources, all of their social stigma at those people who weren't engaging in harmful behavior, but all they needed was the narrative that they were. And the goalpost would be pushed further and further to enable them to continue living out this fantasy of being the stalwart protectors of kids. Remember how Pizzagate began as, oh, these kids are down in the basements, to, oh, there's tunnel networks all across Hollywood and DC and these areas. Like, it would expand. And it was all, it was never like, oh, they're sexually molesting the kids, something that we'd be able to track. It was, they're harvesting adrenochrome from these kids, something that is infinitely harder for us to try way to find evidence of, right? Like, that's something that's infinitely harder for us to manage. So this fantasy moves further and further into these farther goalpost areas, not because these people legitimately are trying to protect the kids, but because the idea of being the stalwart defender of these children is far more enticing than actually doing anything that would protect kids. This was a major issue with QAnon, and when I was doing my research for the Lolicon video, I found that there were certain areas of that community that, while gross because of the stuff that they would be talking about, didn't end up having higher rates of harming children than anybody else. The two aspects that led to children being harmed more often were proximity to a family member and access to an inebriant. Alcohol was usually the main one. In the majority of these cases where a child was harmed, the adult was inebriated, their inhibitions were lowered, and because they were socially stigmatized in one way or another, they never went to go seek any kind of therapy. Or, even worse, they were living in a conservative environment where seeking therapy was a sign of weakness, and thus would do everything in their power to avoid it in the first place. I can actually link you all of the research that I had for that video, if you want that for later, because it ties into the shit with Charlie Kirk a lot.
It ties in. It sounds like it would tie into a lot of the stuff that goes on with conservative propaganda and virtue signaling.
Yeah. Let's see here. Senna says, still very weird and concerning to know specific AOS. Oh, yeah, no. That is one thing that I will say. I will stand by the position for the rest of my life that if you know the age of consent laws in multiple states, that is a red flag that I'm willing to stand behind.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's one that I'm willing to hold on to for basically forever.
Yeah. Also, like, it just seems like that plays into the very, very prevalent in conservative circles, like, think of the children mentality.
Yeah. And the thing is, we have a ton of research into things that are red flags when it comes to predatory behavior. And this is one of the reasons why it's okay to have people seek therapy here, so that they can go and find out how not to harm kids. If your goal is lowering harm for kids, then your goal should be therapy for these people. Period.
Because and this is, I think, a really important thing to point out. That's what therapy is for. Therapy is to prevent you from either harming yourself or others. Like, that's why you go to therapy. That is literally the reason people go to therapy. And if people aren't able to go to therapy for one reason or another, that just means they're much more likely to harm themselves or others.
Yep.
Like, sure, sometimes it's like, you're not going for, like, really dire things, but, like, hey, if you're going to therapy, you know, in order to make sure that you have the ability to, like, get your life in order and, like, be happier, that's because not going to therapy, you'd be harming yourself by, like, you know, not having those coping skills.
Yeah, like, I went to therapy because I was personally engaging in behavior that was harmful to my partners at the time. I had a lot of self-harm behavior that manifested as breakdowns that was very, very hard for my partners at the time to deal with, and I didn't know how to deal with them. I went to therapy for a year to learn coping mechanisms to better deal with those things, and over time learned exactly how much stuff was being done to me, as well as stuff I was doing as well. Because that's another thing, oftentimes people who find themselves in these cycles where they end up being abusive don't realize that this is a two-way street for a lot of people. You can get stuck in a cycle. Whether or not you're the one that started the cycle, you could be, but once you are in a cycle, breaking that is very fucking difficult. Therapy is really good at teaching you how to do that.
Exactly.
Charlie.
Murder, of course.
Okay, so do you think all murderers should go to jail?
do I think all murderers should go to jail? I mean, on third degree murder. However, no, I don't think women that got abortions or had IUDs should go to jail because I think that they have been deceived by mass culture and mass propaganda. Secondly,
well, if they shouldn't go to jail, then why are we having this conversation? Fuck it, doesn't matter anymore.
Women are too incompetent to be held accountable for their actions, according to Charlie Kirk.
But the women, they were all of them deceived.
Yes. Women are the kings of men from Middle Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the Nazgul.
Look, there is a form of birth control that looks like a ring that you put up the coochie.
Oh my god.
They are the Lords of the Rings.
Were those the ones lost by the dwarves?
Yes.
The people who should go to jail are the abortionists, who are the ones that have been putting the abortion
What the fuck
pill,
is an
the ones that have been
abortionist?
doing procedures, the ones that have been going into the third trimester.
So the doctors need to go to jail.
Yeah, no. Also, like, abortionist is like, I don't know, he's like going back to like turn of the century, not turn of like the century from the 1900s to the 2000s, turn of the century from like 1800 to the 1900s.
Jesus. She looks so visibly uncomfortable in the back there.
She looks how my heart feels.
Babies' backs and inserting them with syringes while the babies are crying and suffocating, being born alive, and then being dead on the operating table. Okay. That is who.
That's not a thing that fucking happens, though. In 99.999.
No, it happens. Okay. Suris, the baby gets born, and immediately all of the doctors surround it with ritual ceremony knives to start stabbing. You know, for the adrenochrome.
They just sit there. Nom nom nom. 4 of the rings destroyed in the womb. The other 3 collected by Sauron. Jesus.
Like, conservatives live in a fantasy world. It's a terrible fantasy world, by the way. Like, get a better one.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Do you see the guy who does the voiceover for the police officer in Eldritch Bomb, thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? But the guy who does the voiceover for the police officer in The Simpsons actually responded to that going, what? The cats are eating hot dogs in Springfield? Wait, the dogs are eating the cat. Oh, the people are eating the dogs and the cats in Springfield. Okay. Well, do they taste good? It's fucking wonderful.
You know the weird thing is, though, I can see Charlie Kirk eating dogs or cats. Like, that, to me, that would make sense.
I can see RFK eating a dog. Oh, wait.
Oh, God. You can
do that.
God.
Who the fuck is studying abortionology at Comrade George Soros University?
Abortionology.
Should go to jail.
Yeah, I got straight A's in my fetal murder course.
They're aborting the dogs. Aborting the cats.
Oh.
That was actually the best point somebody made.
We'll have to talk about it.
Oh, she is gunning.
Okay, whenever I'm talking about this discussion, I always go to the question of what about in the case of the mother when her life is in danger? Because I'm a big believer. I don't know. I'm still iffy on if I think it's if it's murder or not. But
I'm just curious whether or not the life of the mother is at stake. I just want to know. I want to hear from Charlie Kirk's own mouth. Do you believe that abortion is not okay in the case of rape? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, honestly, someone really should hold Charlie's feet over the fire on that one.
Even so, I mean, I don't want to say murder is justified. Guys, wait, let me just get this one point, and then you can vote me out. Give me 1 second. Say the mother gets pregnant, and she knows that if she gives birth, she's going to die. She has some kind of health complication. Then what do you do in that case?
Section.
I don't know what that means.
It's a C-section. They
Oh,
do
cesarean
an
section.
insert.
Guys, wait, hold on. Just give me one second.
Right,
One second.
Oh, God.
right below
Oh,
the belly
God.
button
Oh,
and
God.
deliver-
Right.
How did you come to this event not
you
knowing
fucked
what
up
a
so
C-section
bad.
is?
You fucked up so bad. Okay, cool. So, all you had to do to word this better was point out, hey, the mother knows that being pregnant, the pregnancy, will lead to her death. I have personally been in a relationship with somebody who had a problem where her ovaries would cause a fuck ton of issues if she got pregnant, and would actually harm her very, very greatly if she got pregnant. And the chances of the pregnancy alone killing her were incredibly high. I have already been down this particular road. That's how you have to word it, because if you do the, well, giving birth causes the pregnant, then you're just giving them the ammo to go, okay, skip the birth. C-section then. Woo.
Well, also, like, C-sections are still dangerous. Like,
yeah, they are. Every surgery has complications.
Every surgery has complications, but like you're literally slicing someone's like you're going in through the stomach. Like there's a lot of complications there.
Deliver the baby, and after she doesn't have to give birth. It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure.
Can we wait?
Is a
pause.
C-section safer than an abortion procedure? Because like I think
no.
Because I think Plan B counts as abortion to Charlie Kirk, and Plan B is safer than a C-section.
Can you throw up the graph I just sent you on Discord?
Sure.
Can you throw that up for a sec?
Go ahead and pull that up real quick. Why not? Let's go ahead and pull that up here. Open that right in the browser there. Put that right over here. I want to put this in the actual thing that we are watching. It's right about here. There we go.
Yeah, so you'll notice that like once abortion became much more widespread in the United States, it really went down. Like the rates went down, and it's really with like the rise of the abortion is murder, and like the abstinence-only education that you start seeing in the United States this tick way up.
The rate goes up there. Man, there is a part of my brain that is permanently middle school pilled, and I hate that because Manaventi pointed out that there's 27 layers of fat and tissue that have to be cut through during a C-section, and my brain just contorted in the worst like middle school way how to turn that into a your mom joke by just increasing the amount of layers required to be cut through.
But also, I do want to point out about this chart that like a lot of the initial fall here is not because abortion was legal. You know, Roe v. Wade happened later, but a lot of this is due to like hospitals becoming cleaner, hygiene becoming more of a thing, germ theory finally becoming widely accepted. But
Not
you can
using
clearly
still
see
water is great.
You can clearly see that the trend continued, and then like
only in the United States.
Something different happened in the United States here, and something tells me it's not that our hospitals suddenly became much dirtier than they were in the 1980s or 70s.
If I were a very, very horrible Republican, there is a very terrible argument that I could make for the hospitals being dirtier. But Donald Trump already tried to make that argument on a debate stage, and he did it far more racistly than I could.
True. Yeah.
The Alpha says, yo mama, Suris be like, yo mama's so fat she has extra layers to cut through during a C-section. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. All right, Charlie Kirk. Oh, wait, this is not where I wanted to be. There it is. All right, I say we get through maybe one more of these debaters on this before we're done with Charlie Kirk here. I can't stand his face much longer.
He's very hard to stomach.
Yeah, he is very difficult. I really liked when the one girl was just like, your smile is creepy.
Yeah. more people need to rhetorically like be like, yeah, you're creepy and weird, and I wouldn't trust you around my beverage at a party. You know, more people need to say that. Conservatives.
Toilet paper USA. Let's go.
Sorry, Lily. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Okay, let's see what he says.
Nice to meet you. I would say with abortion, I think it's very complicated, but I think the issue that I have primarily with your stance of being pro-life, that there's no nuance. There's women who are being forced to travel hundreds of miles to access abortion care, even in cases of rape in certain states that they're not giving any
the first
sort of
person to bring up rape.
for that. And I think, you know, a lot of people who are pro-life,
why are there so many red flags already?
But I feel like they're really pro-birth because with firearms, the United States has some of the highest firearm deaths out of OECD
Oh wait, no,
nations,
I can see
right?
why there's
We
red
acknowledge
flags.
that's for children who are actually living and breathing. So I feel like
Okay, no, I understand the red flags now because he's doing the equivalent of a Facebook meme post.
Yeah.
He's doing the whole you're only pro-birth, you're not pro-life because you don't do anything to take care of the kid after birth. That's a fun rhetorical strategy, but it is not a good argument for the legality of abortion.
No, like I was really hoping he would just point blank ask Charlie Kirk, what do you think about, like, what about victims of rape? Should they be forced to carry to term?
Don't gish gallop. Just do the one thing and watch him squirm. When you provide all of this like shotgun ammunition, you let him select what he wants to do. So in an official debate, a gish gallop is a strong strategy. It's a strategy that I hate because it's not very ethical, but it's a strong strategy because it provides so much information that your opponent becomes overloaded and cannot do anything. But in this style of debate, which is not really debate, this is all showmanship, you are giving him the ability to pick and choose your weakest point and focus in on that with a laser.
Yep. I have no notes.
Abortion, well, yeah, it is. I can definitely see your point. I just think that it should be allowed in some circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy to get into the gun violence stuff later, but I want to really stay focused on abortion.
Can we also pause real quick? Like, if you're going to plant your flag on this stance, you need to come to terms with the fact that, like, hey, if you're advocating for exceptions, right? What is the process by which someone would have to get an exception, right? Like, because if we're talking about rape or incest, or we're talking about, life of the mother, these are the most common exceptions. Mm-hmm. It takes time to prove rape and incest in a court of law, more than 9 months usually, and also to establish like threat to the life of the mother, like that is very much up in the air. And can legally be argued at almost any stage of the decision making. A doctor might try and intervene.
And at that point, all you are doing is forcing taxpayers to front the bill for legal proceedings on something that honestly should have just been handled by the medical system from the beginning.
But I guess my point is, like, they aren't real. Like, there isn't a real system whereby women who are the victims of rape or incest would get these kinds of exceptions. Like that's not feasible, and Republicans know that, which is why they often dangle the rhetoric of exceptions while knowing it's not actually going to happen.
The thing is, with those exceptions, you create I think those exceptions are required, they are needed, but with those exceptions, you do have to accept that because it takes a while to do a proceeding where we prove that rape happened or we prove that incest happened, because of that, the default is not, oh, well, because this takes a while, we can't have the abortion. No, the default is you do the abortion, and then if you find that it didn't happen, then fuck it. At that point, you work on prosecuting the woman for a false claim of rape. Like that's the next step there. But the abortion has already happened, and you need to be able to allow that one. And now there is that risk involved for them. Like, that's what you do there, as opposed to doing the whole, oh, well, it's going to take a while to prove it. And if we find in the next 52 weeks that it just so happens that rape happened, then sure, why not? You can have that abortion. Like, that's not how that should work.
No.
You can say you see my point. Can you see the world also where, since we know it's a human life, that it should be illegal since we don't allow murder in our society?
Well, that's
we allow killing in our society, and we need to disagree that abortion is murder. We allow killing a lot in our society. We have a police force that is able to kill our own United States citizens. We have a military that is allowed to kill people at home and abroad that they decide are a threat, which oftentimes isn't even the case. We have an entire public execution system where the state is allowed to enact the highest form of violence on any American. And also, we have legally engaged in some of the most heinous shit on our own American citizens. We have done shit like drug experimentation on unwilling American citizens, and our government has admitted to those things. So, if we are going to talk about the distinction between murder and killing, we do lots of the killing already, and it is all legal.
Yep. Like, it really, I feel for this guy, because, like, it's hard to be put on the spot like this, and you're going up against someone who has a lot of media training and how to frame something, and I understand where his heart is, and it's like in the right place, but the rhetorical skill to combat Charlie Kirk here is lacking a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing with someone like Charlie Kirk. Like, here on YouTube, we have the benefit of being so far removed from him and his negative charisma level that we can judge how anybody is operating with him very, very easily, very, very well. When you're in the spotlight, the person who is more comfortable being in the spotlight will often perform better. This is why I don't do debates. This is why I do not like doing debates, because I have short-term memory problems, and I know that in these on-the-spot moments, if my brain farts, that's it. I'm done. And if I'm trying to argue for somebody's human rights, that's it, I'm done, is not good enough.
Yeah.
That's where I have an issue, because abortion is not being done willy-nilly. It's like the life of the mother is always...
How many abortions do you think we have every day in America? Just guess.
I'm not sure.
Guess.
Okay, so he's gonna bring numbers in here. He's gonna bring them here. And I'm not...
Remember when he was running from the specifics earlier?
But now he's in a position of power.
Yeah.
Now he's in a position of power. So he's going to try to grab that specifically.
I'm honestly not sure. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000?
4,000 a day. So it is kind of willy-nilly.
We do about 1 million a year.
Sorry.
I know we said we would only do the one, but that was kind of piss poor. That's not
that
the
was
one to end it on.
Yeah.
That's like having the last game of League be a surrender at 3 minutes.
Also, I just realized, like, this video's 90 minutes long. How about we finish the first leg of the video? Like, he has 10 minutes left on his clock.
You think we can do that?
I think we can do it.
Hold on. Let me just real quick see how much of that there is. Okay, there's 13 minutes there. 15. Okay, that would be another 10 minutes of the video.
I think we can do it.
Okay, you know what? I believe in us.
Me too.
Hello.
Hi. I just want to clarify, the thing that you're aiming for is less abortion, right? That would be what you would want, or at least no abortion.
Eventually, it's also a protection of those that can't protect themselves. But yes, and that's why after the reversal of Roe versus Wade, we saw abortions go down dramatically in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. We saw thousands of babies that are now alive and well that are able to have amazing lives thanks to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
I don't think a lot of that is true.
Well, it is, but
it's not true, because when you make abortion illegal, it doesn't actually decrease the amount of abortions that happen.
That's a nice talking point. In Texas, the numbers show differently. The birth rate has gone up.
Yeah, legal goes down, but illegal abortions still happen. Abortions still happen outside of whatever data you're showing.
That's not true, but let's just say, well, if you
40?
If you want to, well, first of all, if you count the abortion pill, you're right. That's a separate thing. Then
wait, the abortion rates went up the year after Roe fell.
Yeah.
That is actually a true bit of information. Abortions went up directly after Roe, which is insane. NPR has an article from 2024 on it. If you look at the abortion rates per year, we had 862,000 abortions in 2017. But once you get to 2020, which is where the fall of Roe happened, we actually saw an increase from 930,000 abortions per year to over 1 million abortions per year. That is an increase of 80,000, or in this case, something like 1,000 to 2,000 a week was the increase in abortions directly after the fall of Roe v. Wade. And that was a rise that happened over the course of 2 years. He likes to point to places specifically like Texas to try to grab his point, but the fact is, when you look at the United States as a whole, the rates go up. Because you have people who will leave Texas to go have an abortion in a different state, so their abortion criteria will factor in that state, not in Texas. The thing is, Charlie Kirk knows this. It is impossible for him not to know this. It's why he laser focused on Texas.
Yeah, he is definitely cherry picking his examples to try and make his point seem stronger. But again, I feel like if you had like the right person armed with like more facts on the issue, you would get someone who would just blow him completely out of the water, you know?
Yeah. Also,
I think to an extent he still hasn't recovered from the time he was tricked into advocating for dolphin fetuses. I can't remember who did that, but that was pretty great.
Also, Jassa pointed out that it was 2020 was the Dobbs decision, but yeah, 2020 to 2023 did see a decent chunk of an increase in abortions still. We didn't see a decrease in abortions in the United States. We saw an increase in abortions in the United States, and that trend, we'll see what that trend looks like in 2024 once we have all of the Pew research for this year done, but I'll be interested to see what it looks like.
And a chemical abortion and surgical abortion are different things. And I'm not debating. I'm not debating you. I'm debating her. So if you want to do the flags and come back in, try and be faster next time.
Like, notice the weird distinction he just made.
What a fucking asshole!
We should try to limit unjust suffering of human beings.
But did you notice that? Like he's now making a distinction between chemical and surgical abortion.
Yeah,
like
he has to make a distinction because he has to move the goal. This is why I brought up the QAnon research from before, the research on, pedophilia from before, because oftentimes people who have these positions where they want to envision themselves as the super important person on the debate stage, the way they will do it is by moving their target goal to a narrower and narrower place so they can still feel justified.
Yeah, like he started in a relatively broad stance to give himself wiggle room, and now he's like been narrowed down over the course of these conversations. It's actually pretty interesting to watch.
Sure.
Okay, that's my position, is that there's unjust suffering of anywhere between 1.4 to 1.6 million abortions a year of human beings that are being massacred in the womb. And so that's not a women's rights issue, that's not a men's rights issue, that's just a human rights issue.
Okay, the best way to decrease abortions happening is proper sex education. Limiting abortion and making abortion illegal does not actually decrease the amount of abortions that happen.
So what is your evidence?
What is my evidence of that?
Here's some evidence. NPR.org, section on health, shots from 2024. That is a good piece of evidence for this. I have it pulled up right now. I had it show right here.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is your evidence for that? I have it here.
Because we have increased sex education in the last 30 years.
Wait, because like teaching sex ed and safe sex means that fewer people will have sex unsafely and in ways that would make babies that they don't want. Like that's like again, he's against every policy that would lower the incidence of like pregnancy in people who don't want to be pregnant.
Also,
his position is actually antithetical to like reducing the number of like children who are being taken advantage of. It is incredible to me how he has the audacity to sit there and be like, hey, yeah, no, I actually care about the suffering of children, when in every other respect he advocates daily for the immiseration of children. It bothers me immensely.
So Fun fact, there's actually a meta-analysis from the National Library of Medicine that was conducted in 2022 by a couple of researchers, one Nicholas D.E. Mark and a Lawrence L. Wu, that shows that more comprehensive sex education does actually reduce teen births. This is very, very recent meta-analysis that takes into account several mixed studies that tried to even find that it did not reduce teen births. These were factored into the meta-analysis and still came out showing that it is not the case that teen births are increased when they have sex education. Teen births, teen abortions, all of this shit is decreased when you have more comprehensive sex education, and we have the data to prove it. Again, if you want to go ahead and fact check me, I literally named the article, I named the study, and I named the researchers behind the study. Go ahead, have a fun look.
Yeah, no, it literally is that simple, because I've read like articles and academic articles on sex ed as formulated through like the 90s and early 2000s, and like what a lot of them come down to is that, hey, children learn when they're in school via two networks. One is the formalized network, which is, the school system and maybe parental instruction. And the other way is through informal networks, through like their friend groups, through like osmosis from the general culture, Yeah. Those are like the two ways. And if you don't have sex education programs, if you don't have programs that teach them formally what safe sex is, they're going to learn it from their informal networks. They're going to learn it from their friends. And you know what? Some of their friends are dipshits.
Not only are your friends dipshits, when you all are going through your hormonal phases, when you are dealing with puberty, that is the one time where your brain is going to find every excuse under the sun to engage in sexual behavior, even in ways that are not safe, in ways that could get you very much hurt. I remember when I was in middle school, there was a whole scandal where a used condom was found on school property, and there was a whole investigation trying to figure out if it was a couple of kids who were doing something, if it was one of the teachers who tried to do something to one of the kids. Nobody fucking knew, and I don't think anything ultimately came of that investigation. But I remember that being a scandal at Brown Barge for a brief amount of time, where a fuck ton of people were talking about it. That gossip network right there is not the thing you want in your ear educating you about how sex works.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how people are like, yes, women can just will their bodies to not be pregnant. Or, yes, women give birth through their butts. Like these are ideas that children share with each other because
I thought that people gave birth through their belly buttons. Yeah. I was stupid. I didn't get sex ed because I went to a Christian private school first. So during 5th grade, so 4th and 5th grade are the sex ed years for Florida education. At least it was in Pensacola. That was the typical norm there. So when I was in private school, I never got sexual education because they didn't teach it at my private school. When I went into the public school, which is Brown Barge, once I left there, everybody before me had a sex ed class and I hadn't.
Yeah, and like this is where like, kids grow up and they hear when a mommy loves a daddy very much, that's when a baby's born. And then they're like, oh, well, that's not, maybe that's not related to like, my penis, like they don't, if you don't teach them, they don't know. Or
you get people who go, if one condom is protection, then 2 condoms is double the protection, so fun fact, there was actually one person in my high school who did have to get an abortion because she used 2 condoms with her boyfriend. And for those who might not know, if you use 2 condoms, the friction between the 2 rip them. They go away. You are rubbing rubber on rubber, and eventually something's got to give. The thing goes away. It stops being effective at that point. When that happens, all bets are off. That's it. Like, I've personally heard people's stories where this shit, like this bad education, has affected them negatively.
Yeah, or like even the idea that, oh, well, if I pull out, no pregnancy will happen. Nope. Your body doesn't work that way. Sorry.
Yep. Or like, oh, she won't get pregnant if she's on top because the sperm can't swim that high.
Yep.
These are the same people that tell you that you'll be able to pass a drug test if you drink bleach.
Yeah. No, again, children that don't know what they're talking about will be the people who teach your kid about sex if the school doesn't have a sex ed program.
Yep.
No, our sex education is so bad in America.
Well, by bad, what do you mean by that? We have more access to birth control for young kids. We have more kids that are learning to use birth control at a younger age. We have
Charlie, you're against those things. You're against all of those things. You think that's bad?
Also, when he's like, "Oh, well, what do you mean by we have worse sex education?" Why don't we look at the states that have worse sex education? Let's look at Texas.
School system, and we've seen all the trends actually go in a negative direction. So, in fact, we see that the more sex education there is, the more disturbing those trends are. So you say that, let me ask just one more thing. You say that
that's
if
just
we
a
make
lie.
abortion illegal, people will still do it. Should we then just make gang violence legal because
No, I'm saying
still
if you
do it?
actually wanted to decrease the amount of abortions that happen, you wouldn't be advocating for to make abortion illegal. You'd be advocating for all of these
Does that
other
logic
things.
apply to stealing, looting, kidnapping, arson, and murder?
You regulate it. And actually, we do regulate murder, which is why I made the distinction between murder and killing. We have the ability for the state to enact violence on our own citizens. We have situations where police are allowed to kill citizens. We already have a system where we regulate for that, where we accept that. As for stealing, we have systems for that too. It's called property insurance. We have systems in place where you can engage in theft and a business can recover from it. Also, we have systems in place where businesses can engage in legal theft, wage theft, for people who are working under them. So yes, Charlie, we actually do allow all of these things in America. We just happen to have ways in which it operates for corporate interests instead of the interests of the common fucking people.
I mean, we also have civil asset forfeiture. The state can literally, a police officer can literally pull you up, take everything in your wallet, and send you on your way. That is perfectly legal for them to do.
We have plenty of systems in place where the state can engage in violence. The state can engage in theft. The state can engage... Oh, by the way, if we want to talk about drugs, should these be banned? That's an entire can of worms I don't think you want to open there, Charlie. But if you did want to open them, we can go the state route there as well and talk about shit like MKUltra, where our own fucking government drugged our own citizens with LSD. We can do that, Charlie. We fucking can.
Yep. It's the framework. Ultimately a lot of this always comes down to we live in a society. We collectively make the rules.
Oh my God, we live in a society?
Yeah, I know. First you've heard of it. Did you know that Joe Biden isn't a leftist?
It is so Jover.
Well, actually, it does, because those are results of different societal issues that you should be educating yourself on, rather than making it illegal on the front.
Should we make kidnapping, arson, burglary, murder legal?
All right, so let's talk about each of those. Arson. We actually do have controlled arson that is legal. We regulate it. Common citizens can't engage in it, but I definitely can do a controlled demolition of something. That is a thing that we're allowed to do.
Or a controlled burn.
Yeah, controlled burns. We do have situations where that is available. So it's you have it regulated, Charlie. Each one of these things that you are naming, we have regulated. What are the other things he named here?
So we should make. Should we make
kidnapping? Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and list all the different ways in which police can legally kidnap you, because there are plenty of them. And in fact, actually, we've done a lot of them to fucking protesters during the BLM protests.
Yeah, it's called getting arrested, Charlie.
Yeah, we already have these systems in place, Charlie. I'm sorry. This is all just whataboutism. When again, we have legal ability for each of these things within the power of the state. These are all things that are all already allowed.
It is quite literally whataboutism. He's just listing. Oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? Rather than actually engaging.
That's where you just go, hey, Charlie, did you know that an abortion isn't LSD? Did you know that an abortion isn't kidnapping? Did you? I mean, it's arguably kidnapping the sperm. But did you know that these things are not the things you named.
Murder legal because they're symptoms of something else?
We should be helping society heal from those
You got to
things.
answer the question.
She did. Do you know how you help with society's drug problem? You regulate it instead of banning it. That allows the black market to slowly dissipate, and that allows people to get therapy and rehab instead of being sent into prison complexes. Yes, letting society heal from these things is in fact an answer, Charlie.
When you nut in a woman, she kidnaps your 30 million kids.
Just reminded of the fucking Fly mafia boss from Rick and Morty. Oh, you're threatening 1,000 of my kids? I've got 30 million of those. You think I care? Check your voicemail. Oh, God, that's half of them. Alpha Mario, I did not rape her. She kidnapped my future children, Judge. I don't know why I had to channel the room for that.
It fit.
I did not hurt her.
We want less of those things. Should we just make them legal and we'll get less looting?
You know, actually, I'm gonna let someone else.
Thank you very much.
No. Stand your ground. Stand your ground there. Point out how looting is not a good allegory for abortion. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, you could just point out, like, the easiest way to deal with what he just did there was just like it's not the same thing.
This is bullshit. I did not hit her. This is bullshit. I did not.
Call him out on the whataboutism and say that this is not the same. Sorry.
Yeah, I did mean this was not analogous. You're right, Paige. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles?
Like, if you could go back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized?
Ooh, this is a good rhetorical line.
Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
No, so you'd go back in the past, you'd give them the death penalty, even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay. But you said people who get abortions who are women shouldn't go to prison.
Oh, I see what he's doing.
Okay, regardless.
Pedophilia
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it illegal? When was it legal in America?
Well,
What?
This is so good. He's doing so good here.
Let's see here. I'm just gonna do something real quick for Charlie. Real quick. Just something interesting. Did you know that child marriage is still legal in 80% of the United States?
It's true, unfortunately.
Yep. Did you know that child marriage used as a legal trap for children is still entirely legal in a good portion, at least 35 states of the country?
Yep. Oh, God.
So if you want to say, when was pedophilia legal in the United States? Now, Charlie. Now. Yep. It still is, Charlie.
Yep. Grown-ass adult men will get married to children in the United States, and it's totally legal.
So, looking at, see here.
Absolutely disgusting.
So just so you know, child marriage is legal in most of the United States. The floor of 18 years is only in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 states. There are 38 states where the floor for marriage is very, very low. If we are talking about, say, New Mexico or Oklahoma or Mississippi, the floor for child marriage is 0 years. There is no age floor. As long as a parent, which can be just as easily deceived, just as easily corrupt, just as easily fucked up, consents to the marriage can happen between a fucking 9-year-old and a fucking 45-year-old. Also, California has this as well, which is really fucking weird for being such a liberal state. That's really strange, California. Maybe fix your shit. But
yeah. Also, there are organizations that help children get out of marriages like this in the United States. One of the foremost among them
shouldn't have to exist.
They shouldn't have to exist, but one of them is called Unchained at Last, and there was a study done that they reference a lot that looked at the number of child marriages in the United States between 2000 and 2018. There were nearly 300,000 children that were legally married in the United States between 2000 and 2018. Some as young as 10, and nearly all were 16 or 17 or younger. So,
in Wyoming, Republicans circulated a letter to all of their constituents arguing that child marriage needed to continue in the United States because teen parents needed to be allowed to raise their children under a single roof. And somehow, preventing child marriage prevented these teen children from raising their kids under a single roof because these people are so stuck in the fucking 19th century that they think that you can't couple together without a piece of fucking legal paper.
Child marriage
also,
was legal in
just real quick. Also, after this study came out, 4 states banned child marriage, which is great, but the study came out in like 2019 or 2020. No, sorry, 2021. Like,
yeah,
they didn't ban child marriage in Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts. It's insane how recent it is. Like, this feels like something that should have been illegal like 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's now.
And there are Republicans in Tennessee that tried to put it back on the books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, but Charlie, when was pedophilia legal in the United States? Right the fuck now. Right the fuck now, Charlie. It's been allowed here for years.
America throughout the early 1900s and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible, right?
Well, hold on a second.
Yeah, Mary was 12 years old. Anyway.
Yeah. Can I just say that I think this is an excellent rhetorical tactic because once he gets Charlie to be like, well, no, back then it was wrong and we should put them in prison. Like, it backs him into a pretty bad corner, and I think he immediately realizes that. I just think this is great.
I also like that he says they should get the death penalty. Oh, okay, so you're okay with taking a human life now.
Yeah, exactly.
So where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular conditions that are listed in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which is extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go
back. Okay, so when is the age of consent
abortion.
under your view?
Let's go back to, generally agreed upon it's 18 years old. But let me ask you
because you don't go based on what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Like conception, great. So good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not
sentient. Can we pause real quick?
Yeah.
Like, Charlie is in a weird spot here because the Bible is pretty loosey-goosey when it comes to like age of consent.
It gives no number for age of consent. It gives nothing.
Yeah, there's no number given directly in the Bible about age of consent. If you want to like drill down the brass tacks, you can find verses, I think, like in Corinthians, for example, about how like age of consent is like puberty. But then we're talking about like 12-year-olds. We're talking children, and like I'm pretty sure Charlie Kirk, when he says, pedophiles should get the death penalty, I'm pretty sure he also is including, adult men who sleep with 12-year-olds.
We're gonna do a quick fun thing here. The apocryphal Gospel of James states that at the time of her betrothal to Joseph, the Virgin Mary was 12 years old. I'm screaming and I want to die. Van Brake says Murray supposedly gave... No. The apocryphal texts state that she had her pregnancy anywhere between 14 and 17. It doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it better. How old was Joseph? Anywhere between 20 and 70. It depends on which part of the text you care
Jesus Christ,
about.
what? That is such a huge age range.
Let's see here. So, how old was Joseph when he married Mary? So, Mary can be assumed to be between 12 and 19. Joseph may have been in his 20s, is according to Bart Ehrman. But there are other texts that say that he was in his 70s. There are texts that say that he died around 49 or 50 years old. The range is very, very high. The range is quite high. But do remember, if we're talking about the Bible, there is a version of the events of the death of Jesus that include a zombie apocalypse that is not mentioned in any other book and has no resolution anywhere else in the entire text. So expecting consistency from that book is something I will not do.
Yeah. But this is very shaky ground for Charlie to argue on, I think. Like, he's trying to dodge out of this as soon as possible. You can see the tension in his face.
Brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like a family should be able to pull the plug on an individual in the family that's brain dead.
You gotta answer the question. When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 through 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective that at 6 to 8 weeks those brainwaves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue?
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people?
I think by moving on to this brainwaves argument, like that was a misstep. He should have really stayed where he was.
He's letting the goalpost get moved.
Yeah.
You don't think are sentient?
But the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brainwaves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's
impossible.
voice.
It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is. I
Hold on,
didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to
no, it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is
he has lots of experience with that.
Symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby.
Thank you for pointing out a reductio ad absurdum is not a red herring. So for those in the audience who may not know, a reductio ad absurdum is when you bring the most, as the name implies, absurd version of an argument up to see if that version still stands the test. If it does not, then the original version of the argument, the one that was the more common sense version of the argument, also does not stand. You take it's also called taking an argument to its logical extreme.
Yeah, it does seem like I really enjoy that he clearly knew what a red herring was, but he wanted Charlie Kirk to explain it.
He wanted him to define it.
Well, because seeing Charlie Kirk explain what a red herring is points out that so many of the things Charlie Kirk has been saying during this debate are just, in fact, red herrings.
If they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the
unless
sperm.
you're infertile, which we don't know. But let's see the process of development, right? Why
do you want to answer my question yet?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3Os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many pedophiles are alive from 1904?
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison. Would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive.
Okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based on what you consider to be moral.
Pause. So Charlie Kirk is
myself.
Charlie Kirk is fully willing to like. Not just like be okay with the death penalty. He wants to do the killing himself.
Yep.
And like doesn't see at all any kind of juxtaposition here between his stance on abortion and the rage of wanting to kill all these people himself.
No, he doesn't.
I feel like he's a prime target for the trap he's walking into.
Yeah.
Women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison. So why should women who get abortions go to prison, but someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sins?
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well, I was finishing my statement. You were talking over me.
You called it you called it murder. You said abortion is murder. They're getting abortions. If you pay a hitman to kill someone, you are still culpable. You're culpable for that. You go to prison.
Also, we should just point out that, like, if he says, I would have killed them myself, okay, so you're okay with murder now.
Yeah, he's okay with murder now. Yeah, it illustrates our earlier point about like murder versus killing.
Ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if...
What's up?
Can you pause? My stream got suspended just for a few minutes for Jubilee.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. If we wait, it'll come back.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Yeah, Jubilee do be doing.
They do be doing.
Hold.
It's fine. Hold the line.
If we had less abortions in America.
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes,
because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily
are
better
you against
unless it is the
abortion?
case that the people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health medically speaking.
Are you against late-term
women,
abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's. 15 weeks?
Yeah, so why do you think that most people don't share your view?
Wait.
And it's a bad position to have too, but...
That's such a bad position. Why would you grant even... See, this is why I think like the bodily integrity argument is like top tier argument for this. It's because you don't find yourself sliding into like this weird like, well, you know, right around this area is when the brain waves reach a critical mass. Like, no.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just have to accept we don't care about fucking brainwaves, okay?
Yeah, no.
We don't.
Exactly.
Like, if that thing is in her, and we don't want that thing in her, that thing leaves.
Yep.
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is. There's not a lot of conversation about abortion, and these conversations are very difficult. Like, they're conceptually hard to go through, and I understand why a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, like... If you are, in fact, right? If you are, in fact, like, of the opinion, right, that like sentience is like the line.
Yeah.
Then you have to really struggle with the fact that we don't know that much about consciousness. We don't know how that works, really. You know, like the research around it is still very preliminary. You know, I talked with one of my friends on my show a while back who is a neuroscientist, and like he was like, well, the tools we work with are basically, you know, we're using the basic equivalent of like stone tools to do a job that requires, you know, surgical scalpels. You know, like when it comes to what we are actually doing, what the task we have at hand here, like we just aren't there technologically to be able to like figure these things out.
We don't know enough about cognition.
Yeah,
we have
like
a lot of conversations about it.
Yeah, and even when we're doing like brain scans, like the resolution of brain scans is just not good enough yet. It's good enough to make like some very broad generalizations, but it's not like we can't pinpoint, you know, what a thought is yet. It's like a large, that's much more complicated than where we're at right now.
I mean, I can pinpoint a thought, but it's mainly because he's sitting in a blue suit in this video.
Hey!
Positions on it,
so
but I think people
you
have.
are where most
you're cutting me off.
Americans
I thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm glad he got replaced though. He had a bad position on abortion.
How are you? Nice to see you.
So I just have one question. There's like in any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do
where,
think that a couple
second.
cases
Hold
it
on.
is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst...
Pause. Like, cesarean section is great, but it's not always going to save a mother's life.
And we don't know that it is or isn't going to at the moment we're performing it. We know that after recovery.
Like it is just that like you're doing a surgery. Like a surgical intervention all surgeries have risks, right? But also, like, so many other things can go wrong with a pregnancy. So many other things can go wrong that can kill someone very easily. Blood loss alone can have that effect.
Yeah, what happens when those complications just crop up and you weren't accounting for them?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the risk you are imposing upon women is, like, already, like, I don't think Charlie Kirk would willingly take on the amount of risk a pregnancy has if like, given that option. I don't think he would take that on himself.
No, and he would try to find some way to justify that level of cowardice. He would just go, nope, that is not my position that I have to, because I had the privilege of being born with testicles.
Yeah.
But as science gets more and more broad and we learn more and more things about the human body, we start doing womb implants on trans women. That's slowly going to stop being a criterion for dominance, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I really do want to know, hypothetically, if Charlie Kirk were to, like, if it were possible for Charlie Kirk to have a uterus implanted in him, would he carry a baby to term?
Yeah. Also, people are telling me that my stream died on YouTube as well, right after yours.
Yeah,
so I've gone ahead and reset it.
The YouTube stream is angry.
Oh, this is gonna be fun to turn into a video.
Yeah, right. I'm still live on Twitch, so all this is going through.
I am also live on Twitch, so fuck it.
God.
Axo said, I tried to say they're doing copyright stuff. I understand they are. Understand that I am numb to copyright shit. I don't care. The last time that I got a huge copyright strike, not like the let's copyright the end outro music for your shit, was when I did my review of a Mr. Bertram episode.
Oh,
and
God.
I won that appeal. So I will appeal this one as transformative. And I will win that one too, and Jubilee can suck my left nut hair.
Yep, it's true. We're providing so much more commentary. We're getting through. We've been going for 2.5 hours.
2 hours and 16 minutes for 17 minutes of their video.
Yeah. Somehow I think that this might qualify as transformative. I just have a suspicion.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like somebody with a transform is on this stream.
Hi. I see what you did there.
Sylvie Snow says, okay, who the fuck is Jubilee? Jubilee is a content farm organization, and they make basically these for fun style videos. This is what this is basically. They take real issues that have real weight and they try to give them a game show like spin instead.
Yeah, like they'll do an episode of like, can a room full of people figure out who's the secret autistic person? Or like, hey, can they find the secret black person? Like, it's weird concepts like that, or like, hey, stand on these lines to show us where you are politically. You're all trans people. Where do you fall on this? On these issues? It's kind of silly nonsense, which is why I'm glad Suris and I are going over it together, because it makes it so much better. Like, I don't understand who just watches straight up Jubilee videos. I don't understand that audience. But I feel like the two of us talking about it helps make this so much more palatable than it would be otherwise.
Yeah, it's so I'm not even gonna lie, I have a headache right now trying to go over the Jubilee content, as it were. And I don't know if it's due to lack of food or if it's due to listening to Charlie Kirk's dulcet tones on my non-consenting ears. But I guess we'll find out.
growing numbers of OBGYNs.
Okay.
That is the only case where abortion should be
Do you
allowed.
think there
but
should-
but people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay. So if
It is a growing consensus in the pro-life world. Bitch, I don't care about the pro-life world. I care about the medical world.
Yeah, the pro-life world, that's like saying there's a growing consensus among the flat Earth community that the world is flat. Like, oh yeah, is the pro-life community anti-abortion? That's crazy.
That's so
that's
weird,
so crazy.
right? That's crazy. Smacko says it's because your face is so small that you're cringing.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped. And she was gonna give birth and she would and she was gonna give birth and she was gonna live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's but it's a real life
But it's a
scenario
real
that
life
happens
thing.
to many
Yeah, no,
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Holy shit,
Holy
dude.
fuck! Really? You're really gonna die on that hill?
Okay, but you know what?
Oh my
you know what though?
fuck.
I was shocked for a split second, but
then
makes
it made
sense because Charlie Kirk, that's not a real thing. He doesn't have to act like it's a real thing. Do you honestly think if Charlie Kirk's daughter was raped that he wouldn't like take her to get an abortion? No, he would 10,000% take her to a country. They wouldn't report that she was pregnant. He would take her somewhere. They'd get an abortion, bury any kind of media story, and like come back and act like nothing happened. You know, that would be exactly how that would go. We'd find out in like 30 years when she writes like a memoir of how shitty her dad was. Like that's how we would find out.
Yeah. So,
but he knows that he will never actually have to, whether his daughter gets pregnant or not at 10. He knows that he will never have to account for what he says here. So he can just bite the bullet. It doesn't affect him.
Yeah, and it will never affect him. He will never be in a position where this matters to him.
Yeah.
Wingcaster says he's in the I would never have been a Nazi third grader seat.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in. One is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was probably hopefully conceived by a somewhat loving couple.
Conceived by? Tell me which one was conceived by.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and
But
it's all
that
human
doesn't
beings.
matter.
So
It's about your daughter.
I mean, hold on, my guy. If your daughter's pregnancy at 10 years old is on the ultrasound, it is rape. There is no world in which a pregnant 10-year-old was not raped. I'm sorry.
Oh, and also, like, that just conceiving of like a pregnant 10-year-old is disturbing.
It is very fucking disturbing.
The argument that he's making here just is, well, you know, it's equivalent. You know, all pregnancies are the same, right? Like that's the argument he's trying to make. Like, oh yeah, it's equally as dangerous for a 10-year-old to give birth as like a 25-year-old, and it's not. The risks of a 10-year-old giving birth are so much higher that, like, the younger a person is when they get pregnant, the greater the risk of them suffering like permanent disability or like
psychological
permanent damage or
damage.
death, like, let alone the trauma associated with that.
Yeah, no, like, this is my evidence from here on out that Charlie Kirk is a villain. This is my evidence.
I'm gonna look up one thing.
Sure.
Let's see.
Why not? It's been such a joyous occasion so far anyway. Let's add more trauma to the list. What could possibly go wrong? I said Kirk is the villain? No, I know, right? Look at him. Also, just gonna say right now, this image right here should have been their thumbnail. There's no world in which this should not have been their thumbnail.
Yeah. Because I'm wondering, like, exactly how much more dangerous is it for a 10-year-old to have a baby compared to, like, a 25-year-old? You know, like...
That's a specific enough thing that I don't want to Google it.
Yeah.
His eyes look so emotionless when he's shouting. Yeah, because there's not a soul there. He's
he doesn't care.
Vampire.
He doesn't care about this.
No, it's never going to affect him. He gets to live in a world where he gets to do and say whatever the fuck he wants, because nobody's going to hold him accountable for stuff he keeps hidden. So I'm back with the fuck that I missed after Kirk died on that hill.
Also, I guess just worth pointing out that as of 2023, the U.S. has had the highest infant and maternal mortality rates, despite the most healthcare spending.
That's so weird. That's so strange. Yep. I wonder why that is. Man. If only we could come to a conclusion on why that is the case in the United States. I said, please tell me he isn't a father. No, he's a father. He is a father of a child. And he is willing to say that that child, if raped, should be forced to keep the baby. That is what he is saying. That is what he is doing. Imperial says, I will not stand for this vampire slander. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of reading the Dresden Files all over again. You don't get to live in the world where vampires are cool and sexy. I live in the world where they're fucking parasites. And he said he's on record saying it is such a disgusting thing. Yeah. This should be the thing that he is forced to live with for the rest of his life. He is the one whose child gets to live with having the father that says that if she were raped, she has to keep the kid. I would not wish that on anybody. Now that we have questionable Google searches out of the way, let's listen.
Who's has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that for the rest of her life. That's going to take away every freedom she's ever going to have. That's going to ruin her life. She's going to grow up and she's going to be attached to another thing.
The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant what human rights you get. But hold on one second. If a person conceived and walks down the side of the street,
wait.
First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights.
Yep.
If, like, you don't get rights at conception. That actually isn't a thing that exists.
No, you get rights at birth.
Yeah, you aren't paying taxes on unborn children. You aren't like I don't know, like are we shifting our entire system, Charlie?
Like so if a pregnant woman gets in a car, is there and she's in the car alone? Are there two people in the car? Is one of these people carpooling? Does she get to go in the carpooling lane?
Like, genuine question, Charlie. Like, are we treating them as if they're people or are we not? Like, fully grown adult people worthy of human rights?
Yeah.
Because historically and, like, globally, no, we don't do that. And we never have.
But don't you understand? Don't you want to live in a world where rape babies are forced upon unsuspecting children?
No.
But... my hero, Charlie Kirk, who would give up his own daughter on the altar of Christianity, like Abraham before him. He would do it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's the real question. The next Jubilee video needs to be recreating the story of the Binding of Isaac, but with Charlie Kirk. You know, are you willing? Are you willing, Charlie, to heed God's call?
Yes. He gets to do it full chest.
It's not about that person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know?
Listen.
But
wait. They wouldn't know. Yeah. Like, you're taking them to the doctor to make sure they don't have to carry the pregnancy for weeks after the rape. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
They shouldn't know what it's like to be pregnant, Charlie.
Said our
They're
bastion of
fucking
truth
10 years old.
Our bastion of truth is Charlie Kirk.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
no, he's like, no, I want my daughter to live through this. He is 100% for that, and it's disgusting.
Happened and we do something good in the face of evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're gonna
Okay, so this is the unironic time where we get to go, men only want one thing and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It unironically this time though.
We're gonna pander to the evil. No, what makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
What makes the West great is forcing children to carry babies to term.
No, I'm speaking. 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 No, I'm speaking.
Want to say one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not. I'm not talking
Good
about that. I'm
fucking
talking
job.
about the
I know you
person.
don't care about them.
I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't care. No, listen. The fetus,
Oh,
the
God,
whatever.
his
I don't care
smile
about
is
that right
awful.
now until it is formed. If there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in
5-year-olds
utero,
can't get pregnant.
actually they have given birth.
5-year-olds have given pregnant.
Yes!
Yes.
Yes!
Charlie, if you want to do the fringe thing of like, oh, well, you know, a 20-week-old baby survived, well, then it works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I like how right here, the Sand fact check, Lina Medina of Peru gave birth via C-section at 5 years old. The father's identity is unknown.
The photos from that, by the way, are fucking awful.
She had precocious puberty, and therefore this happened. Yes, Charlie, this is a thing that happens. This is a thing that you have to contest with. You fucking moron.
There is one recorded case of a 5-year-old girl who gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, not
Charlie.
Wait.
Charlie, is it common for babies to be viable at 20 weeks? Is that viable, Charlie? Is that commonly viable?
Why is it okay for you to bring up the fucking hedge case, the fringe case, but when somebody else brings up that case, you're just like, no. Is that common? Does that happen a lot? Like, no. Charlie, do you think a lot? I don't think you do.
Yeah. God.
If they get pregnant, I think they should be able to have medical access.
Why is he laughing?
To something that could save not only just their life, but...
Wait, if I just found out for the first time that 5-year-olds have in the past gotten pregnant, been raped, gotten pregnant, and delivered. Keep in mind also that child probably got raped at like 4 years old. Okay? And gave birth. That would be one of the single most horrifying facts I could possibly learn.
Not to Charlie.
And Charlie's just like, 5-year-old's pregnant. No, Charlie, that's your position. You believe that is good. You think that's good. It resulted in a baby. You think that's great. That's what you stand for. You stand for 5-year-olds being forced to give birth. God.
And he should be forced to be married to that position for the rest of his life.
God. Oh, God. Someone in chat pointed out the 5-year-old who gave birth grew up thinking her son was her brother. Holy fuck.
Yep. Yeah, that's what happens in those situations.
Oh, God. Yeah, because
this is the world that
with
Charlie
C-section, she was probably unconscious, and so she just woke up and there was a baby. She had no ability to
she had no ability to know what that was. And it was safer for her own mentality to not know what that was. It was safer for her to be left in the dark on that for as long as possible. But that's the world that Charlie Kirk wants. That's the world he approves of.
Yeah, I mean, that is what happened. The Argentinian government refused her abortion despite the advice of all her caregivers and doctors.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Isn't it great?
That's what you stand for, Charlie.
Like their livelihood.
How many, I'm curious.
I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
Okay, so.
Fuck yeah.
That
Queen.
is really nasty.
That was really nasty. Yeah, of course it was really nasty, you sick fuck. You want your daughter to be forced to have a kid at 10 years old.
Not just that. He's the one who wants to force his daughter to have a baby. You know, like in this scenario, like we currently live in the United States. There are places you could go to get an abortion legally, but he says no. She would give birth to that child.
Yeah, like
he's saying he would make the decision for her to force her to give birth.
Like, he gets to sit here and do the whole, well, that was nasty. Of course it was nasty. It was a reflection of your own fucking position, you Nimrod.
Oh, God.
The protect the children party. But protect them from what? Definitely not rape? We're not doing a whole lot of protecting them from that in this scenario. Not at all.
Well, I'm glad this is where we're hopping off this particular point.
Yeah, I'm glad that we are done with this. I am hurting a little bit that we got this far into it because we got to that point. I don't know whether I should be happy that we got to the point where he got his ass handed to him on a silver platter, or if I should be horrified that I had to listen to that man say that.
Honestly, though. I think it is good for us to be horrified by this man together. I think it is good that we have shown this and contextualized this appropriately so that, like, Charlie Kirk is revealed as the monster he is to as many people as possible.
I hope to fuck. I hope to every single thing in the world that nothing negative ever happens to this man's daughter ever in his life, because
no kidding.
Not only would I never wish anything bad on a child, but I especially would not want a child to be dealing with something horrible with a support network such as Charlie Kirk at the helm. Absolutely fucking not. Like, that is a CPS call.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah. There's not really anything else for me to add here. It's just like, you guys realize, like, in the effort to be pro-life, he is simply saying, yes, we should force women, including children, to give birth. And that's truly disgusting.
It's a horrific position to have.
There is no way to paint a kind face on that.
No.
There's no, like, you are basically doing the legal and the legal equivalent of strapping them down and forcing them to wait 9 months to give birth. Like, the only difference between physically strapping them down and legally preventing them from getting the medical care they need is aesthetic. That's it.
Which one makes you feel more icky, basically?
Yeah.
Which is
oh god,
horrifying and gross. Anyway,
absolutely.
That was Charlie Kirk. I want to very quickly play the last 3 seconds where he says this is nasty, just to see what he says there.
And so her belief system, just so we're clear, is that
The time's up.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty, and we'll talk again. My next claim.
Okay, that's
get his ass. Dude.
Yeah, no, she used her time wisely.
By the way, absolute Chad move, just like, time's up, you don't get to speak. Bye, bitch.
Jesus Christ. Well, I am glad that's over.
Me too.
Jesus Christ.
Holy moly.
Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Briskreek, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Agamotto, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.